Hi, welcome to my podcast, Becoming a Cut Flower Grower. I'm your host, Lydia, and I'm here to share my year of growing and selling cut flowers. I'll be giving you the lowdown on everything I'm doing and sharing all the highs and lows, the good times and the inevitable disasters, all in real time. Join me on my cut flower journey, starting right now. Hello, and welcome to the latest episode. Thank you for joining me. It's Tuesday, the 3rd of June. I'm up on the plot. It's just gone 9 o'clock. And I've just dug in the very last of the dahlias. So thank goodness they are all in, and they're all in very nice, neat rows, all spaced 2 foot apart. And I'm going to put a mulch down on the top of them. But for now, that is the worst of the heavy digging out of the way. So we've had quite a bit of rain, nowhere near enough, but we've had plenty of rain, which has been really great, and it's kind of topped up one of the IBCs, but not the one that's actually in the flower plot. That one is pretty much empty, and there's not enough water in it now to create enough pressure for it to come all the way out of the hose properly. So dramas there. We are due a massive dollop later this week, so fingers crossed that will do the job. And I should have guessed that we'd get loads of rain because I just bought myself a pair of sunglasses. And I'm the sort of person that's been buying cheap sunglasses for years, shopping according to my budget. So I have been buying from Primarché, and they have generally been terrible quality, don't offer any protection whatsoever, and they scratch really easily. And after a while, they just look terrible. So real false economy there. And I had a voucher from the AA, the car breakdown people, and they'd been pestering me for ages to take out car insurance, car breakdown cover. I was like, no, I'm not doing it. And eventually they said, okay, take out breakdown cover with us and we'll give you a £20 voucher. I was like, fine, we'll do that. So I went and spent my £20 voucher in Boots, bought myself a pair of sunglasses, which are polarized. And I think it's the first time I've ever had polarized sunglasses. So for those of you that got them, you'll be thinking, wow, this woman's been living in the dark ages, because polarized sunglasses are amazing. Everything looks brilliant. And I nearly came off the road a couple of times when I was driving home from town because I kept having to lift the sunglasses up and be like, wow, and put them back down and go, oh, that's rubbish. And just the difference with seeing everything with polarized sunglasses is quite astonishing. And then, of course, we've just had rain. And it's been really cloudy, overcast, very, very windy. So I've blessed the seedlings. They have a break from the baking sunshine and no water, and then lose all their water through the wind that's just blowing everywhere. So, yeah, my fault that we got all this rain because I went and bought sunglasses. So I had a lovely message from a fellow flower grower, Rachel. Thank you for letting me know. Thank you for getting in touch and for letting me know the name of the attachment for the hose when you water things. It's called a lance. So I've learned something there. And also over the weekend, I went to the Apple shop, one of the Apple shops, just to have a browse. I am an Apple user, but my phone is really, really ancient. In fact, last week, my phone ground to a halt completely, and I had to use an even older iPhone. So I had to transfer everything from one phone to another. And if you've ever had to do that, you'll know that complete moment of trauma where you have to just wipe everything and start again. I mean, to be fair, you don't always have to wipe everything. You can just do these sort of transfers. But my old phone was very old, so you couldn't just put the phones next to each other and everything just magically goes across. So there was a horrible moment when I had to wipe the phone and then put everything back on it. Anyway, I thought I'll go to the Apple store. I went with a friend of mine just to see what's going on with all the latest tech and have a play around with everything. And while I was in there messing around on the iPads, I opened the podcast app and had a look at what was on there. And I thought, oh, I'll see if I can find my podcast. So I found it and added it to the favorites. So if anybody visits that particular Apple store and that particular iPad, you will find my podcast on there. I was quite proud of myself. Simple pleasures. So, latest updates. Well, I've just said all the dahlias are in, which is fantastic. And the fancy pants staking has not gone in yet, but they don't need it yet. So I'll do that in due course. And I was super busy over the weekend. I've been making new beds out of the area where the turf was lifted. So as you know, Nigel did that a couple of weeks ago for me. And I was hoping to have jumped on that area a little bit earlier than I have done. But I got on it over the weekend, and what I had to do was reposition the fence panels. But I couldn't reposition them all because in order to make the area chicken safe and duck safe, I have to put chicken wire down on the ground that kind of goes up the fence panel a little bit, so it stops anything digging under the fence panel, if that makes sense. And I haven't got enough chicken wire to do that yet. So I just created an area that is 2 fence panels long by 2 fence panels wide, and then it returns again. Enough space for me to make 4 really nice beds. So I was hoeing all the thistles and bits and pieces, digging up random bits of grass. Luckily, there's no nettles in it, so that is an absolute godsend. And then I spent what was left of my weekend wheelbarrowing compost from the old duck house, which has been lifted out of the duck house months and months ago and had just been sitting in a massive pile. And so I was wheelbarrowing all of that down, breaking it up with a spade, and then putting it on, marking out the beds with canes. And if you go on my Instagram at Hen Hill Cut Flowers, you'll see that I picked up 4 bunches of canes that someone was giving away last week, which is amazing. And I'm very grateful for those. So the new beds are marked out. The mulch is down. I'm not going to dig it in. I'm just leaving it on the surface. And there were some worms in it, which is very exciting. There used to be an awful lot more worms here, but the chickens have most things. So I was very pleased. I picked them out, carried them down very, very carefully, and put them down in the new beds once I'd finished working. So hopefully they will go on and do their magic. And so into one of those beds has gone my cosmos, and then into some other beds to fill up some gaps. I've put out another batch of scabious, some more craspedia, which is the little yellow golf balls on sticks, and some more calendula. So I have still got up here a tray of amaranthus, which I desperately need to get in the ground because they were one of my most popular flowers last year. I sold lots of them, and for some reason I just haven't got round to putting this tray in, which is just really silly. I look at them and go, oh my god, you guys need to go in the ground. So anyway, they're top of the list for tomorrow. And there's a couple of other bits and pieces. Some stuff at home, which is not in the greenhouse. It's out on the table. It's hardened off, and it's just not quite ready to go in yet. I'd rather get everything bursting out of the seams of the trays rather than bring them up here when they're a little bit small and then they just look tiny, and there's just still not enough water up here, so they're safer off at home. So that's where we are with everything. And in terms of like things flowering and stuff, like I've got some beautiful foxgloves, just not enough to do anything with. This is the trouble. This is what I'm finding now. So the achillea is just about to flower, which is great because it's all different shades of sort of pink and mauve. That's very pretty. And the cornflowers, half of them have all budded up and they're just about ready to pop. And the leucanthemum is still looking lovely. And the astrantia are looking gorgeous. Not as tall as I would like, but still looking lovely. So yeah, not enough yet to actually do anything with, but I feel pretty good with where I am at right now. And the sweet peas, I'm so impressed with them. Just goes to show about the water, because they get 2 bucketfuls of duck water every day, and they're a foot tall now. They're away and they've got the hang of it now, so that is amazing. Yeah, so as I say, nothing ready to put into a bouquet or sell to anybody yet, but it's coming along nicely. And I think with a little bit more rain over the next 2 weeks, we are on track to be having some cut flowers, which is super exciting and the whole point of this. So, some final updates to end the podcast with. It's a pest update, actually, and I kind of hate calling them pests because I know they are pests, but it's just, I don't know, it's a very loaded word, isn't it? The black fly have gone from my broad beans. I had them on the eryngium as well, and I used a brush from a dustpan brush set to get rid of them. and sort of sweep them all off gently into a heap on the floor. But in the process, I've managed to damage some of the flowers on the broad beans, so I'm guessing I'm not going to get beans from that. So that's very disappointing. But otherwise, they seem to have just given up. I haven't had any more come back since then. And all the greenfly that were on the enormous thistle that I put on my Instagram video where the ladybirds were doing ladybird things instead of eating them. The greenfly have actually gone from all of those and nobody else has reappeared. So I don't know whether the ladybirds have just come along and eaten them all in the last few days. I don't know, but there's nothing there left. So that's great news. And I haven't found any more slugs. And that is particularly exciting news because we have had showers over the last few days since the last episode. And I kind of thought maybe they'll come out of the woodwork wherever they've been lurking, but no one else has appeared. But what is lurking is the pigeons. So I always sort of used to see one in the morning, and now when I turn up, there's about 3 or 4. So they're sort of lurking around, and maybe they're just casing the joint and working out what to do. But so far, there's been no damage from them. Fingers crossed. So I had a comment from somebody about when I said in my last episode, I said I didn't have any peonies. And then a few minutes later, I said I'd done this huge arrangement for the house and I had a peony in it. So I should have clarified that. I had one Carl Rosenfeld peony head left, and that's the one I cut because all the others had blown and finished. And I thought I'm going to cut the final one and take it inside and enjoy it. So yes, I had peonies, but only one. So my bowl of beauty is just about to flower, and then I've got a few Sarah Bernhards dotted around that are also just about to flower. It's been really interesting actually to see how the flowers that I cut from my garden have performed since I brought them into the house last week, and I'm guessing I must have done it on or before Thursday because I talked about it in my Friday episode. And generally speaking, they're doing fine, although it was baking hot on Saturday and I had the windows shut because I was out for the day. So they got a bit of a roasting then. I think the most successful has been the orange blossom, which has just perfumed the entire place. And when you open the door, you just get this gorgeous waft of orange blossom. So that has been wonderful. And the Nepeta's looking a little bit tired now, but still going. Roses have gone over. But the foxglove still looks nice, actually. So that was quite an interesting experiment. And a very brief chicken update for those of you who are on the edge of your seats about what's happening with the chickens up at Hen Hill. So Florence and Danny are still broody and very, very committed to the cause. And I think they kind of like the fact that there's the pair of them. So they snuggle up together and they have quite a good day by the look of it. I was considering for the briefest of moments of getting some quail because I really fancy quail and I would love to have some quail eggs. And I did lots and lots of research into it and thought that it's probably not something that I should do because I have so many other things going on. I'm not in any position to be taking anything else on. So no to the quail. So Florence and Danny still doing their thing. Momo, who is the one that ate part of Goose's bottom, is now in quarantine. And she didn't like it to start with. Now she's absolutely fine. So that's great. Not sure what we're going to do about that long term. But anyway, we can't have her in with the others if she's going to be eating people. And Goose is doing brilliantly. So she's going to go back up to the hens at the end of this week, and her bottom is healed up. So that was £140 very well spent there. And so that is it for Tuesday's episode. I'm going off to have a fish finger sandwich for my dinner. The batch cooking has slightly gone to the wall, and so we're basically just having different sandwiches for dinner. But you can't beat a fish finger sandwich, I think, especially if you've got any tartar sauce in, which I don't. So it's going to be a mayonnaise and ketchup extravaganza this evening, but I'm really looking forward to that. And then I'm going to upload this podcast and pass out. So I will see you on Friday. I hope you have a lovely rest of the week and that you are taking care of yourself and eating better than sandwiches for dinner. And I will be back on Friday with some more updates on what's going on with my cut flowers at Hen Hill Cut Flowers. All right, take care. See you soon.